Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. And welcome back to another episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast with Sheldon and David.
How we doing out there? How you doing, Sheldon?
Feeling better, feeling better. I still have a little bit of the little
Yep.
stuffy, nosy coffee thing, but way better than I was. So,
Good.
hopefully it doesn't bug anybody here, and my probably voice sounds a little different or whatever, but hopefully everything's okay. Feeling better though, so that's cool.
He's
Uh,
making his way through, so that's better.
Making my
That's
way
good.
through, so sorry if I get coffee or whatever, but, so we were talking about what we're just gonna jump right in, right?
Yep.
And it's been in the media, I believe. So I haven't seen it myself, but I know Jacqueline has mentioned that there's this whole continuation of a saga, and the topic of the saga has to do with that Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuits back and forth and all that. And I guess one of the things, and again, I haven't seen it personally, but I hear it's out there, is this idea of toxic positivity. I guess Blake Lively saying he had so much toxic positivity that she couldn't stand it or something like that. It made her uncomfortable.
Okay, toxic positivity.
Right.
Explain to me what toxic
So,
positivity is. I can't just say it.
yeah.
More or less.
So
Help
we
me.
were sitting there before we started recording this going, "Well, what is that?"
Yeah.
So talks about, basically, what it seems to me is, and actually, I guess I could read it. I Googled it real quick. Toxic positivity refers to overgeneralizing a happy, optimistic state across all situations to the point where it minimizes, denies, or invalidates authentic human emotions.
Ooh.
So,
Wow. That's
you
kind of
know,
like that'd be kind of like suppressing a feeling. Like if I'm having a situation. Well, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna bring it up. We always talk about it, the divorce. So I could sit there and say, like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna get through it, but it's still in there. I'm having a hard time dealing with it. I'm suppressing. Is that kind of like I'm
Yeah,
suppressing it?
it's kind of like I think,
Okay.
looking at the positive side of things to the point of denying the negative aspects of
Oh,
things,
okay.
right? Like,
Okay.
and I think that that's super common in the spiritual communities where they always talk
Mhm.
about you manifest by focusing on the positive. Oh, you want to manifest uh, a,
Mhm.
a lifestyle of joy and abundance and blah blah blah. You can't think about the negative. You can't see the negative. You can't expose yourself. You just need to focus on the
Oh.
positivity. And so it's been a thing in the spiritual communities for a while. I know Teal Swan has talked about it a
Okay.
lot about toxic positive. She's been talking about it for years, and it's very much in line with, I think, what we've talked about, which is feeling whatever comes up. You have to feel,
Mhm.
right? And so if you're
Yeah.
going to feel whatever comes up and it's negative, you know, in a lot of teachings and way people are talking about it and podcasters, they're like, you need to kind of shift your mindset immediately, which
Okay.
really is a form of suppression, right? Like,
Okay.
oh, I'm going through this pain in my door. Just think about positive. Just think about the positive. Think about,
Mhm.
making your best life now. Just don't worry about that, and then you wouldn't have been able to
Okay.
process the pain, process
Mhm.
to grow from it, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens in facing the negative, right? And so that's why I talk
Mhm.
about transcendence, right? And the duality, like yin yang, and you're transcending both so that you can look at and see both with the equal amount of peace, right? That's the
Yeah.
connection that happens, right? But toxic positivity is a thing. I think it's very
Mhm.
real. I think there's a lot of people out there that are afraid to feel negative.
Mhm.
And I do think it's something that's
Okay.
happening with the young kids too, even with the social media and the anxiety, the age of anxiety.
Mhm.
They don't know how to cope, right?
Yeah.
I watched the Sean Ryan podcast, which is that Navy SEAL guy and he was interviewing, I believe, and I just watched a 10-minute short clip of this guy, and I think he said he was an '06, which is a full bird captain, Navy captain
Mhm.
in the SEAL teams. So that dude was one of the senior ranking SEALs, right? And he was talking about the training programs and blah, 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 and the generations. And he talked about Gen Z leadership, SEAL team. What are the SEALs of the kids
Mhm.
today? What are they like? And one of the things, and he had a lot of positive things to say about them. But one of the things he did say was they don't bruise well.
Mm.
He said they had one kid who was top of the class in every single thing for a couple, many weeks into the program, and he's going through and he's number one, number one, number one, and he's totally doing everything great. And he failed at one endeavor. He failed, and he rang the bell and quit. And they're
Wow.
like, on the exit interview, like, "What are you doing? You're the future. And he goes, "Well, I can't lead if I failed." And they're like, "No, it's about how you overcome failure. It's about dealing with
Mhm.
it, about guiding through adversity. Nobody doesn't have adversity. You
Yeah.
have to be able to face and deal with your adversity." And that to me is kind of a form of toxic positivity. He thought he had to be perfect, you
Yeah.
know?
The
And
so somewhere in my life, I had someone that, I go, "I didn't know this." I was talking to this person, "I didn't know this with you." And that person just said, I've learned to hide it well."
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
"Well, if you hide it well, how do people know what's going on? How can people help you, or how can you get
right,
past it?" And so that not only hurt that person, I think, down the road, that hurt me because I was like, "Well, I didn't know that. How
yeah,
am I supposed to help
right,
or work through this if I
right,
don't know what's going on?"
right.
So that's and we're not saying don't be positive. We're saying be positive. But now that I've learned what you're saying, toxic positivity, okay, I'm gonna get right by the time we're done here. Toxic positivity is over positive. You're not
Yes.
you're not seeing it. You're not accepting what's happening, what's going on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think that's, acceptance of what
Mhm.
is, right? And so
Mhm.
that's part of, to me, the energy of how you heal something and transmute, or how you go through it. Esoterically, they would use the word transmutation, right? But how do you heal yourself and your own heart? You have to feel it.
Yeah.
There's that expression. I always
Mhm.
like, you got to feel it to heal it, right? But if you're
Mhm.
denying your feeling by saying, I don't want to experience that, or that'll bring more negativity to me. So I
Mhm.
have to, focus on the positive. That is real. It's like you're gaslighting yourself, you know.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Very
It's
true.
like you're gaslighting yourself. Like, no, 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 that's not real. That didn't happen, or whatever. It's like, yeah, it did, and I feel like shit right now, And being
Yeah.
able to be in that space, um, of allowing yourself and accepting and allowing what is. I've talked about before that teaching that said that the four characteristics of unconditional love, love
Mhm.
without any conditions, that it allows all things, it accepts all things, it embraces all things, and it trusts all things.
Mhm.
So, you have to allow what is to be there. You have to accept that, the reality of that. Can you actually embrace it and go, okay, here we are. This feels pretty shitty right now, but I'm in it,
Mhm.
and, I'm in it. So let's just go. Right. And then trust that, geez, if I'm here, there must be a reason for this. What is that reason? And let me deal with figuring that out.
Mhm.
Right. And answering all those questions is diving into something that feels negative and then going through it, right? And
Yeah.
that's how you heal something, right? And just
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, that's not here," or "That's not real," or "That's not happening," or blah blah blah, whatever it is that people are saying, or "I got to stay positive," really denies and suppresses. And what you resist persists. That's what I always say. What you resist persists. I don't want to feel that. I guarantee, and I'm gonna keep feeling it because I'm
Yeah.
resisting it. I have to go
Mhm.
through it. And that's profound healing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And it's a why am I feeling that? Why am I going through this kind of thing? It's getting
yeah,
more philosophical if you want to do that,
yep,
but it helps you deal with it. And like just this weekend, one of the guys I was working with, oh, no, weekend, it's weekend now, but he went home to his wife and says, "Hey, something just triggered me." He goes, "I don't understand what triggered me. This guy was in my face." Um, and he says, "Well, the language he was using," and she goes, "Yeah, the language he was using offended you. So that you have to know when someone does that, that
mhm,
it's going to trigger you. So you got to figure out that trigger. Go like, okay, I got to calm down
mhm,
so that I don't let them get more heated if I get heated."
mhm.
So it's kind of like he had to go through and said, like, what triggered me on that? Because
Yes.
he wasn't the bad guy, he was the good guy in this, but the guy was
Mhm,
in his face.
mhm.
But he was this my friend was getting kind of angry at that guy
Yep,
because it triggered him.
yep.
But it was cool because he went, I didn't even, I mean, he's not one that has taught, we've talked about this stuff, but he goes, I went home, talked to my wife about it, and she says, "Well, I think that those words trigger you."
Yeah,
And so when someone says those harsh words to you, know you're getting triggered and take a breath
yeah.
because it's going to trigger you and you're going to go over the edge. And so
Right,
then it becomes a non-win situation no
right.
matter what. And he goes, so I learned something last night by just going through it. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa.
That's
Cool.
cool.
So he really went through it, and
Yeah.
as you mentioned that going like, "That's what Mark did. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool."
He went through it.
Um,
He sat with
yeah,
it. Deal with the
yeah,
trigger itself. Why is that
yes.
trigger why am I so sensitive to
Mhm,
those words? When I was
and
5 years old, my dad said it to me, and it made me feel like crap, and I never healed that.
yeah,
And if you can go
but and
back
guess
and
what?
heal that.
Yeah, it's not gone.
Yeah.
It'll be there probably forever, but he
Yeah.
knows if that is said, "Okay, I'm getting triggered, so I need to process this
Mhm.
without jumping
Mhm.
right away."
Yep.
So so know that we just wanna see within ourselves, what is this? What triggers me? What makes me feel this way? And can I get through that harsh feeling?
Mhm.
And sometimes it's hard times. It's not
Yeah.
gonna argue that. It's you
Yeah.
have to get through them. And I was talking to you about Pastor Darren. He always says, he goes, "You don't have a testimony unless you have a test." And so
Yeah.
you gotta have that test, and that's somewhere with me, with my divorce, someone helped me get through it. Okay, you being
Mhm.
one. My friend Courtney, God bless you, Courtney, Courtney, Georgia. She We talked a lot as I was going through it.
Mhm.
She had been through
Mhm.
a divorce, and then after I went through mine, my friend Kara went through hers, and
Mhm.
after no, Becky went through hers because Kara was helping me. I was crying in the guard room. She was my therapist, and everybody thought I was crazy asking her for advice, but it was great advice. Um, so Becky first had called me. She was going through divorce, so I helped her, and then Kara started going through divorce, so Becky and I both helped her.
Yeah.
Now Kara was crying in the guardhouse, and I was helping her.
Yeah.
So it's
Full
one of those.
moments.
Yeah, I had to go through my stuff. Courtney had to go through her stuff to be able to help me down the road. I had to go
Mhm.
through my stuff to be able to help Kara and Becky go through
Mhm.
their stuff. Not that I'm the only one or they were the only ones that helped me or I helped them, but if we don't deal with what's in us, I can't help anybody else. And
Yeah.
in this world, I hope if you're out there listening that I don't go out looking to help people, but if someone needs my help, hopefully I've learned from within how to go through it and how to
Mhm.
process or how to deal with it,
Mhm.
so that I can help them journey, into peace and happiness.
Yeah.
So,
And, we that whole idea of toxic positivity and staying positive, denying all the things that we don't like feeling, the
mhm,
hurts, and the pains, and the angers, and the shames, and the guilts, and all of those things that we, deem negative, right?
yep,
And how do you process that, right? And, how do you sit in that fire? And sometimes you need your wolf pack. Sometimes
mhm,
you need friends, right? And that's
yep,
one of those things that I think is in the West, we kind of value this invincibility and the indomitable spirit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a man
mhm,
and on my own 2 feet, and I'm a self-made man, and I don't need anybody. That kind of bravado. And
yeah,
there's a beauty in that. There's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, when you take that too far, um, they always say that human beings were communal by nature, right?
yeah,
That's why we get hyper vigilant, which is they get in fear when a human is isolated. That TV series Alone, where they stick them in the forest all by themselves. I love
yeah,
watching that thing because people freak. Some of them
yeah,
freak immediately, right? And that the survival instinct, because humans need humans. People need people. We need our community. We need our soul
mhm,
family. We need a family, whatever that is. We need others. And you had to we've all had to rely on our community of people, right?
mhm,
Nobody
yep,
is an island, and we're all sitting here. And yet, sometimes you have to reach out. Sometimes you have to be
mhm,
vulnerable, and you have to let people know that
yeah,
that pain is there, right? You were talking
yeah,
about somebody who was like, "How did I know? I didn't know that. I didn't realize you were going through these things," or whatever that is,
yeah,
right? Um,
mhm,
the power of vulnerability of being able to say, "Yeah, I'm hurting right now," you know.
and
Eh,
talking about Wolfpack, um, the even before Pastor Aaron talked about Wolfpack, but it's his idea, so I
mhm.
don't wanna take away from
Pastor
Pastor
Darren.
Aaron. Yeah, back when I was asked, for divorce, that Monday, got to school, and I there were 6 people that I contacted immediately that were at school. One was you were one, so you weren't at school. Uh, but these people were my Wolfpack.
Mhm.
And I said, "Okay, this is what's going on." I go, "I don't know when I'm gonna need you, but I'm probably gonna need you soon. I don't know what I did. I'm
Do you
so lost right now."
Do you
What's that?
know what made you do that? It's like you had a that's a there's a wisdom in there that you immediately knew, "I'm gonna need people to lean on.
I
I will
I don't
not
know,
be able to
Sheldon.
do this." That's a
I'm gonna say it was God telling me, and
yeah, that was a
I
blessing right there that
yes,
you were able to do that.
mhm,
Some of us wouldn't.
because yeah,
Some
because as so on that Monday, not knowing what was gonna happen in my world, I mean, I'm just shocked. I can't
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
but I know I was gonna need some help somewhere. Maybe just, "Hey, I need to go cry. Can you just take my class?" I don't know what it was. It's
yeah,
weird,
yeah,
but I was going through a lot of prayer that weekend, just meditating a lot, praying a lot, just alone. And my mom was there, but she was out on the couch. She heard me crying, all that stuff. Poor mom. God bless her.
yeah.
Um, but come that Friday, okay, so that I was asked to leave on a Saturday.
I thought it was a
And so
Thursday.
no, wait for it. No, it was a
Okay,
Saturday because I came home from a swim meet.
okay.
Came home from a swim meet, and we're gonna go over to Aunt St. Uncle Ron's and water the lawn and stuff because they were gone. We always did that. It's our little getaway from Ashley. Not that it was a getaway, but it was our chance to do something together. And I go, "You want to go?" And she's like, "No. Can we talk when you get back?" That every guy hears that is like, "Oh, that's
Oh.
not that ain't a good conversation." And that's when that conversation, and she had asked me to leave. She didn't ask. She was like, "Just we're going our different ways," whatever that conversation was, because I was just in shock. Um, so gathered some things, and I went to my aunt's so I could stay there.
Mhm,
'Cause at
mhm.
that point, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go somewhere," and stayed there for the weekend. They were gone for quite a while, so I was there, to do some stuff. Um, but so Monday came around, talked to those guys, and then Friday, got to work, and I opened up my email, and there was a big old long letter, and at the very bottom, it says, "I hope we can have an amicable divorce." That was the first time divorce was used,
Mm.
and that was 6:30 in the morning. I was at work. I think it was 6:30, um, and I went into freak mode. Obviously, that I go, "Whoa, she wants a divorce." I'm shaking. I'm
Yeah,
freaking a little bit.
yeah,
Texted all of them, not you, but the ones that were there.
yeah,
So I didn't text Sheldon at that time. I texted them. I said, "Guys, I need help now. This is where I am. This is what's going on. I just got this. Blah blah blah." I go, "So I'm gonna need help today," and it was a half day because that was right before spring break. Great, going through all this, and I'm gonna have time off not to do anything, and my
yeah.
brain's gonna go. So I'm not gonna lie to you. All 5 of them were there by 6:50.
Wow.
They don't come to work till 7:15, 7:30.
Yeah,
And one says, "I'm on my way. I'm getting a burrito. What do you want?" I said, "Nothing. Just get here." So, and he brought me a burrito anyway.
yeah.
But they were in my room by 6:50, helping me through my process. I'm like, "Wow, I picked the right crew," because
Yeah.
they were all freaking there. And
I mean, what a beautiful thing. What
wow.
a courageous thing on your part, I swear. It's wild to me. Again, there was a blessing,
Hmm.
God's grace, whatever you wanna call it, right? It was what a
Hmm.
beautiful thing that you had the courage to say, "Hey, I'm gonna need some help here. I'm freaking."
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause a lot
And
of us would. A lot of us would fuck
yes.
you and then go to the bottle,
Hmm.
go do some
Big time.
drugs, go get drunk. I'm gonna just go get hammered, fuck this,
Hmm.
you know?
Which, by the way, I did. I
Yeah.
didn't do drugs. I got drunk a lot. I got drunk a lot. So, uh, Mike, the bartender, love you, Mike. He was my man. He would always say, he goes, "You having one more? If you are, you're not driving. If you're not driving, I'll give you one more." It's kind of that. He
Yeah,
was my psychologist doctor, whatever you want to call
yeah,
him, and we're close friends to this day because of
yeah,
all that. Because I did
yeah,
drink a lot, which I'll
yeah.
admit that in a heartbeat. Um, and but I will tell you, uh, it was I'm glad I had that. I'm glad
Yeah,
I opened up. I don't know why, but
yeah,
again, I'm saying that God was talking to me and just kind of going, "Dude, you need well, I'm gonna get you
yeah,
through this. You're not know what's going on right now,"
yeah,
because I wasn't really thinking, but maybe I was.
yeah.
But so
Maybe it
I had
wasn't
that.
you doing the thinking.
Nope, I can
Dink.
guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. And so with that, I want people out to know to be open and be vulnerable. Because guess
Yeah,
what? I would not have had that wolf
yeah,
pack if I
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
And come that Friday, oh my gosh, I don't know what would have happened come Friday,
yeah,
if I didn't have them all come to me. I
yeah,
was expecting 1 or 2 of them to show up, but I
yeah,
got the whole group.
yeah,
Um, so again, in that positive, toxic positivity, if I just suppress that and said, "Yep, going through divorce,
yeah,
it's gonna be great. I'm moving on, gonna find somebody,
yeah,
great world out here."
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
I
None
guarantee you my insides would have been bleh,
yeah,
you
none of
know.
that would happen.
So I guess I didn't even think about talking about this, but it it's okay not to be okay. We've said that before. Um, but it's
I
okay
think
to
that's
ask for help.
huge. Yeah, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because
100%. You have to.
yeah,
I
I didn't know how to transverse through that.
mm,
I've never been through. Yeah, my parents went through divorce. I haven't been through it personally, obviously.
mhm.
And so how do I get through this?
Yeah.
You know, so all those people, none of them have been divorced, by the way, except
Mhm.
Courtney. Okay,
Mhm.
none of them were divorced,
Yeah.
but just having that support of just talk and just me talking,
Yeah.
um,
Crying. Just
and
sitting there
looking back,
crying.
oh, totally, totally. And I joke around, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic, but I'd always talk. I just told some of the story about Dodge, Dan Dodge, love you, Dan, and my brother, and it was right when it was real and when it was raw, and we went to Reynoso's restaurant to eat,
Yeah.
and I got 2 tacos, but people, I love my green chili burro and a taco, and I'll eat the whole thing. So I got 2 tacos, and I'm crying, I'm crying, I'm crying. In the restaurant, I'm crying. I have 1 bite of my taco, 1 taco. Okay. So I took a taco and 99%,
Oh,
1.99% home.
yeah.
Because I cried the whole time. And I look back on it, and I was talking to Dan. We were having dinner one night, and I go, dude, do you I go, how was that night for you? And he's laughing. He's like, you were just crying. I just eating. I was having fun eating because the food was good, but couldn't get it out. I go, I wonder, I'd love to go back in time and just ask people, what do you think was going on at that table? I go,
Yeah.
were people thinking you were breaking up with me? I
Yeah,
go, when
maybe.
I'm just crying? He goes, he thought about that. He goes, yeah, I could have been breaking up with you, man. Who knows? I'm just sitting there eating. I wasn't
Yeah,
crying. I wasn't
yeah,
talking. You were doing all I go, oh my God. So I think it's kind of a funny story, but he
the
just sat
art
there.
of holding space.
Mhm, totally.
That's what he did. Just
That's what he
held
did. He
space.
totally held that space for me.
You don't need to
Um,
fix anything, don't need to talk you th
mm,
anything, you don't need a lesson right now, you don't need
mm,
to know how to be more positive in the moment, you
mhm.
know? You don't need
Which
to
would be that positive,
yeah,
toxic positivity. If he's like,
yeah,
"No, okay, you just gotta think through this. You gotta
yeah,
be
"There's a
positive."
silver lining in there, let's just go find it," you know, it's like, "Fuck you, man,
Yeah.
there's a time to right now, I'm just sad."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
time
so
to
know
rest.
that it's
Right.
okay. It's okay
Yeah,
to not be okay and to be just make sure you reach out to people. Get that wolf pack. You
yeah,
have to have that wolf pack.
yeah,
Even right now, if you're like, "Yeah, life is wonderful." Well, great. Go find that wolf pack for when
yeah,
it's not.
yes,
Because guess what? Somebody in that wolf pack you're picking
yeah,
may need the wolf pack.
yes,
It may be a
that's
different
beautiful.
wolf pack, but you
Yeah,
may say, if you like, if I would go to Sheldon, you know what? Someday I might need a wolf pack. I want you to be one of my wolf pack.
yeah,
And you're like, okay, great. And you're like,
yep,
wait a minute, I'm having a hard time. Hey, would you be part of my wolf pack? I'm gonna get some people. I need some help.
mhm,
Let's work on it. It may pull someone out of their what do you call it? Their hole, their
yeah,
darkness and
yeah,
loneliness.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's beautiful,
totally.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful. It always works both ways, right?
Yes. Mhm.
People always get something out.
And we have to be able to go through it, and like you said, if it's in there, let's go through it. It's not easy. Oh,
Mhm,
no, some things can be, some things aren't, but if you can go through it and process it, then you can talk others and process it.
yeah,
My friend Kara was talking to a friend, so a friend who just now getting back into dating, divorced, now getting back into dating,
mhm,
and went out and came back home and felt so it was almost crying because she felt so, what's the word? So she was sad because she felt bad that she's I'm out dating her, almost felt like she shouldn't be,
yeah,
felt,
yeah,
was mad at herself,
yeah,
but it's like, no, yes, you were supposed to be with this person the rest of your life. That was the plan. You're not. Felt guilty. That's the word. Felt
yeah,
guilty that here I am going out on a date, but I'm supposed to be with him. No, you're not.
yeah,
No, you're not. And so Kara had to talk her through. It's like, that's where I was.
yeah,
Remember when you were talking to me
yeah,
and I talked to you and
yeah,
you told me that? I'm
yeah,
coming right back at you. So
yeah,
it's like it help you got to help each other through this. You
yeah,
got to have friends, you got to have family, you got to have people willing to talk.
yeah.
And so
We all need
cuz
s
yeah, we all need
we all need
somebody cuz
yeah,
if I don't know, but Sheldon may have gone through something and I ask him a question like, "Oh, I've been through this is this is what I did," or we don't know who's been through what and who can help us in certain situations. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's not about quantity either, you know? It
Mhm.
could just be 1 or 2 people or whatever,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So, if you don't have a huge wolf pack, that's okay. You can do what you're saying, which is reach out and be other
Mhm.
people's wolf pack and build your own, start to build it, but at the same time, um, you know, 1 or 2 key people can be enough, right? So, everyone's different about what how big the wolf pack is, right?
Yeah.
Um
Mhm.
but this idea of toxic positivity, can positivity be toxic? Sure, I think so. I think that's the bottom line of what we're saying, right? Is if you're
Yeah.
actually to that point where you're repressing what you're truly feeling and you're not
Yes.
allowing a full expression of that, then it can
Mhm.
become toxic, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to be positive to somebody that's not in that space, like if Dan Dodge tried to do that to you in that moment, that would have been
Mhm.
toxic positivity if he was trying to do that. He was able to
Yeah.
just hold space which is
Yeah.
not fix you in that moment, not do anything, not shift your perception, just allow you to be exactly where you are. You're talking about
Mhm.
accepting and allowing that space of where you really were, right? And feel your way really through it. Um, so, it can be toxic. I think it can be toxic for yourself if you're sitting there, and you can be toxic to you towards yourself where, oh, I got to just shift. I got to pick myself up. I got to just like move forward. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think that some of us that pick yourself up from your bootstraps and just push forward without giving yourself the space and the time, the compassion, the self compassion to allow yourself to be low, to be
Yeah.
sad, to be
Mhm.
whatever it is, to feel like
Mhm.
crap, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be compassionate. That's that self-talk we're talking about, right? You holding
Mhm.
space for yourself and then allowing other people to hold space for you, right? So the toxic positivity can definitely be something that you're being toxic towards yourself. You could be
Mhm.
toxic towards other
Oh,
people.
good point.
Other
Mhm.
people could be toxic towards you, right? I think that all of that is possible for
Mhm.
sure. Um, so who knows, in the celebrity world, whether that was something going on, and maybe it was, and again, not getting into any of the details. I don't know any of them, you know, both can be true, right? Maybe,
Mhm.
he was a little toxic and maybe he was really compassionate and loving and she just couldn't handle it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You know,
So, okay, I know we're not talking about them individually, but now I kinda wanna know the story. I'm gonna go look at more. So was she saying that he wasn't willing to deal with the negative part? He was only being positive and wouldn't discuss the negative?
I have
Kinda, do you know
no
yet?
I have
Okay,
no
okay.
idea. I
Now
have
I'm
no
gonna go
idea.
search for it, so
I think
okay.
it was that he was so positive, yeah, that I thought one of the headlines was that it creeped her out,
Mm, okay.
and who knows? Maybe she's
Oh,
wounded in a
wow.
way that she needs the macho tough guy to come in there and go, "Stop thinking like that. I got this, don't worry about it," or
Mhm.
whatever, so a little bit of who knows? But, so yeah, is it possible to be toxically positive? Sure, I think so. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's where I go down on this whole thing, like you can absolutely repress your feelings. You can absolutely repress somebody else's feelings. You can,
Yes.
you know, even with the best of intentions, like I said, oh, "Oh, you gotta, don't, and sometimes guys, I think we're uncomfortable with how our processing our own emotions, right? And so then we want
Mhm.
to divert, our wives or our spouses or our friends or whatever, girlfriends, just go, no, 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 because guys don't, oh, she's upset. I
Mhm.
don't know how to fix this, get positive, like that. So I think that sometimes you can do that inadvertently, right? You can be toxically positive
Yeah.
through your
Mhm.
own discomfort and your own ability to process whatever the hell's coming up for you when you see somebody else in a bad space. Again, that was
Mhm.
the beauty of Dan, right? His ability, he just was able to hold space for you, right? He, hey,
Yep.
this is Dave's, this isn't me, and I could be
Mhm.
okay with that, you know?
Yep.
Um, so
And we've talked about it before on that. It's, uh, what do I have it as? When you're talking to your spouse, friend, or whatever, for guys, okay, sometimes like, "Okay, do you want me to listen? Do
yeah.
you want me to help?
Yeah,
Or you want me to fix?" Because
yeah,
that may if you don't know what it is, you may
yeah.
wanna ask right away, "What do you
Oh,
want me at this point?"
yeah. What do you
You
need
know?
from me right now? What do you need
Yeah,
from
if you
me
want me to
right
just
now,
listen,
right?
I'll sit and listen.
Yeah, yeah,
Now I'm
that's
just gonna
cool.
sit and listen to you.
Yeah,
But if you do say, "I'm gonna sit and listen," pay attention. Don't be
yeah,
thinking about
yeah,
other stuff and who's gonna win the football game, who's gonna play
yeah,
this baseball game,
yeah,
be listening. And if they want that help, then think about it processing. And if they need to
yeah,
fix it, then okay, then your mindset becomes different of how you listen to them.
yeah. But you've
Okay,
also
each
gotten
time.
permission from them.
Yes, exactly. So because if they want you to listen and you're trying to fix it, mm-mm,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah, it doesn't work
That's a
so
whole nother
well.
that's a whole nother fight. That's a whole nother
Yeah,
fight going down the road.
that's a
So
whole nother
um
podcast. That's another
and
episode. We'll talk about that later.
so some things that I wrote down as we were talking, first off, find a wolf pack. I mean, whether you're in a good state or a bad state, you
Yep,
get that wolf pack, okay,
yep,
wherever you are,
yep.
because that definitely helped me.
And I know we've
Um,
talked about that one before, so that's a
yes.
recurring theme.
Mhm. Thank you, Pastor Darren. We'll
Yep.
give him kudos for that because
Yeah,
he's the one
yeah,
that comes up with that. And be open. Be willing to be vulnerable. Be willing
yeah,
to
yeah,
accept the test or the process where you are.
Mhm.
Okay, go, okay, I don't know where I am, but be willing to accept it.
Yeah.
Um, and then being able
You're
to
like
hold
you're
space,
like,
like you said,
"Someday this test is gonna lead to a cool testimony."
that's it. As Pastor Darren said, you can't have a testimony without a test, and you can't help others if you haven't gone. You can help others, but if you've gone through something like, wow, I can really help people in this,
Yeah,
which is what this podcast came about. That's
yeah,
how this whole podcast came about, by the way.
yeah,
And the last thing is just holding space, not only for yourself, but if you're in helping someone, you're in that wolf pack, holding space for them
yeah,
of where they are.
yeah, yeah,
So think about it as you go through this day, and wow, I didn't even think about it. Mark's example was great. If something's triggered you, talk to somebody. Say, I don't know what happened, and his wife gave him the best answers. Hey, when you
yeah,
hear that,
yeah,
know what's coming up.
yeah,
So you got to start thinking to yourself, okay, here it comes.
yeah,
I need to calm down and not let that trigger this.
right.
So thank you, Mark. By the way,
Yeah, it's beautiful,
so
beautiful.
I'll have to text him and tell him, hey, thanks, brother.
You made the podcast.
Hey, thanks for being triggered, so we could talk about you. so,
There's
so
a
see,
wisdom
life happens.
the wisdom
Life
of
happens.
going to his wife and her, the
Mhm.
divine feminine, if you will, the divine the wisdom of the, divine feminine energy, the woman,
Yeah.
being able to support all that kind of stuff and seeing through things in a different way because us guys, I would say, "I'm kinda stupid. I needed the lessons. I need to get beaten upside the head multiple times because that's how guys roll,"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how we are.
That's how we roll.
so, yeah. So great. I hope you guys got some good information about that. Hope you can help
Yeah,
others out.
toxic
Find that wolf pack.
positivity.
Yep.
Some thoughts
Toxic
on that.
positivity. Be positive, but don't suppress to
Yeah.
where you're only positive. So
Yes, yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
awesome. Great. Hope you're feeling better, Sheldon.
Yep,
We'll see you next week.
yep,
And all you out there, hope you're having a great week and keep that smile on.
yep. And thanks for watching this episode of Next Level Real Talk podcast. We would love your support by liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, and posting comments uh, below. It really does help us.
And if you're new to our podcast, we hope you go back and listen to a couple of our previous episodes. And again, thanks for listening to Next Level Real Talk.